Russell Westbrook, when asked, "How do you get into a groove?" answered, "I wake up in a groove." And these are the principles I apply to my lifetime. Run it.
You're listening to a Holyfield podcast.
Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors too, so you can get paid to podcast. I used Anchor to distribute this very episode, and so that all the amazing listeners on the number one podcast in your headphones can enjoy Prem Brulee on whatever platform they prefer. I love how easy Anchor makes it to edit and post episodes. So, if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing it, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join me in the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. Alright, welcome back to another edition of Prem Brulee. I'm your host, Premal. Without further ado, let's get going on Yeah, Fam or Nah. And we know the big event that's coming up here. Super Bowl 53 is this weekend. The Los Angeles Rams will play the New England Patriots from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, run the sound.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
You already know I'm Team Snacks. It doesn't even fucking matter. Who gives a shit? One team wins, it's an asterisk. The other team wins, it's the New England Tom Brady. It's who gives a shit. Sound it again.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Now into some real news. Anthony Davis has requested a trade from the New Orleans Pelicans, saying through his agent Rich Paul that he will not be re-signing with them. His contract's up in about a year and a half and is giving the opportunity to the Pelicans basically to make a deal with what most people hope is teaming up with LeBron in Los Angeles. Here is the statement from Rich Paul, who told this to ESPN and Adrian Wojnarowski. Quote, Anthony wants to be traded to a team that allows him a chance to win consistently and compete for a championship. Anthony wanted to be honest and clear with his intentions, and that's the reason for informing them of this decision now. That's in the best interest of both Anthony's and the organization's future. Translation, we want to team up with LeBron to try to beat those snakes from Oakland. Worth noting as a recap to the Lakers situation regarding Anthony Davis was fined by the NBA $50,000, a whopping $50,000 that I'm sure will make just a huge dent in his wallet because of his agent Rich Paul making public trade demands. Of course, worth noting, the New Orleans Pelicans encouraged the league to act strictly on tampering because they are not going down without a fight if they are going to rebuild. So, good for them.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
That is very petty of them, but I love it. It's important to note, because you're going to hear a lot about the Boston Celtics, that Davis cannot be currently traded to the Celtics because of Kyrie Irving being on the roster and what is known as the Rose Rule, that is Derrick Rose, now of the Timberwolves. But anyway, the Rose Rule allows certain players coming off their rookie scale contracts to earn 30% of the salary cap as opposed to the usual 25%. In order to be eligible, a player must have achieved one of three accolades during their first 4 seasons of their career. An MVP award, a Defensive Player of the Year award, or 2 All-NBA selections. So Anthony Davis and Kyrie Irving both currently are on those extension contracts from their rookie deals. So they are currently earning 30% of their respective team's salary caps, and the NBA rule, the Rose Rule that I referenced earlier, says that one team cannot trade for more than one player who has signed an extension like Irving and Davis have. This rule is only in play while both players are on their contracts that were extended from their rookie ones. So basically, if Kyrie Irving were to re-sign a new deal they could then trade for Davis without getting rid of Irving. The Celtics, of course, acquired Irving in a trade in August 2017. So if Irving, like he says he's going to do, stays and plays out this contract heading into free agency this summer, they will not be able to trade for Davis before the NBA trade deadline coming up soon. As you guessed by now, I'm a fan to this. I love, ever since I've been playing video games, love seeing trades happen in the NBA. Obsessed with jerseys, number changes, the whole 9 yards. I am interested to see where Anthony Davis winds up, whether it is the Lakers, who were given a tremendous gift because of that Rose Rule situation. Anthony Davis's team is basically setting up to give Magic Johnson a head start to try to work out a deal with the Pelicans to get Anthony Davis, while the Celtics probably can't. Now, we are, of course, not going to rule out a team coming out of nowhere, a la Oklahoma City trading for Paul George and taking a chance to convince him. Paul George will forever provide teams with hope that they can convince a player to stay, even though they might not initially want to. Another deal that was similar to this that's coming up is the Toronto Raptors, who traded for Kawhi Leonard on an expiring contract, hoping to convince him not to leave in free agency. So don't rule out a potential team coming out of nowhere that is not named the Lakers trying to get Anthony Davis. If you are a Celtics fan wanting to trade away Kyrie Irving for Anthony Davis, I mean, I get it, but ideally you'd want both of them, so I don't see the point in doing that. Getting rid of one for the other still puts you in the same situation, which is not as good as the Snakes in Oakland. Okay, on to a subject that has not been very familiar to Prem Brulee, but nonetheless, he makes it so that golf is exciting to talk about, and that is, of course, Tiger Woods. And I wanted to go with the fam or not to whether or not Tiger Woods will break Sam Snead's career wins this season. Tiger just played his first tournament of the season, finishing tied for 20th with a final score of 10 under at the Farmers Insurance Open, which took place at Torrey Pines out in San Diego. The winner was Justin Rose, who won at 21 under. Tiger Woods won his 80th career win this past season at the Tour Championship. He needs 2 to tie Snead's all-time record of 82 and 3 to break the record. Before I answer that one, I have a bonus Tiger Woods related one, and that will be Tiger will win a major this year, fam or not. Worth noting, 3 out of the 4 majors this year are in locations where Tiger has won majors. That would be Augusta National, where the Masters is every year. Pebble Beach gets the U.S. Open. Tiger's won there before. And Bethpage is the site of the PGA Championship, where Tiger has previously won. So, Tiger fans, there's a lot to be excited for. He seems finally healthy. The wild card is, of course, him staying healthy. You know what? I'm going to go with fam. I think he gets his 3 wins this year, and one of those 3 wins is a major. Put it on the board. Someone's got to be bold here. I'm going to go with it, but not too bold here. I am going to say that he does not top Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus's record of 18 majors, mostly because of age. Woods just turned 43 years of age, and here are his win totals by decade. He, in his 20s, won 46 of his 80 wins. In his 30s, won 33 of his tour wins, which, if you're doing math at home, now leaves just 1 victory in his 40s, which was the aforementioned Tour Championship last season. And added to that fact is that no one has won more than 2 majors at age 43 or older. 2 more majors would still put Tiger short of Jack Nicklaus. So, yes, a lot of us have faith if that one thing can be broken, it would be by Tiger Woods. I am going with the fam to my 2 headlines that he will break break Sam Snead's career wins this season, so I say he gets 3, and that one of them will be a major. He will get a major this year. Going out on a limb, we'll have to backtrack after the season's over to see if it happens, but Tiger being back makes for quite the exciting sport. Doesn't take a genius to figure out. He drives viewers, and I'll be tuning into all 4 of those majors to see whether or not he's in contention like he was last season. Our next headline is also kind of a change-up. Wow, that pun works really well for this one. The 2019 MLB Hall of Fame was announced, and that class includes 4 players. Mariano Rivera, of course, legendary closer from the Yankees, known for his being a designated hitter. Edgar Martinez got in, I believe, what was his last year of eligibility. Mike Mussina, and Roy Halladay. Those 4 will be inducted into the Hall of Fame coming up. And Mariano Rivera will now hold the title of being the first ever unanimous induction into the Hall of Fame. First ever. The previous high was Ken Griffey Jr. in 2016, who received 437 of the 440 possible votes. He was listed on all but 3 people's ballots, which accounts for 99.3%. A few noteworthy names that failed to reach the 75% mark were required to be inducted are Kurt Schilling, who was the highest to not get in, who received 60.9% of the votes, while the 2 famous names everybody is asking about are Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds. Roger Clemens reached 59.5% of the votes, which is up from 57.3% from the previous year. Barry Bonds went up to 59.1%, which was also up from last year's 56.4% of voters. Both Clemens and Bonds have 3 years remaining to be eligible to be voted into the Hall of Fame. Of course, each player gets 10 years. Okay, so basically, I'm a not fan to all this. And let me add a bonus. You know what I want to hear.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
And that bonus goes to Mariano Rivera being the first unanimous inductee. This is nothing against Mariano Rivera. Trust me, I know he's absolutely worthy. But the only reason Rivera is the first unanimous selection into the Hall of Fame is because votes are now public. So the good old boys club voting on candidates can't do that thing where they don't vote in deserving people they don't vote deserving people right away in favor of others who've been waiting. All that bullshit, the same things that lead to the NFL Hall of Fame delaying wide receivers. Of all the greats in baseball history, yes, Mariano Rivera is incredible. But him being the first unanimous selection, come the fuck on, man. He should be the next of many that are unanimous. I mean, legendary players didn't even get unanimous votes into the Hall of Fame. And the person who gets that crown is Mariano Rivera after years and years of baseball history and it being America's pastime, all that bullshit. He's the first. Get the fuck out of here. Also, I'm a nah because Clemens and Bonds should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. I really hope they get in the 3 years remaining because I don't think any complete history of the Hall of Fame should exclude those 2 players. They both need to be into the Hall of Fame, and it's an absolute shame if they don't end up in, and it's an absolute shame they're not already in. Won't convince me of any otherwise. If you're a traditionalist, you're probably also the same type of person who's upset that Rivera was even a unanimous selection, so you and I probably won't see eye to eye with these stupid policies of the MLB writers who vote on the Hall of Fame who are trying to be keepers of some history that's already too far gone. If we're just drawing the line at Roger Clemens and Barry Bonds, there are people already in the Hall of Fame that have questionable past, so let's get over ourselves. And that brings us to likey, no likey, hate it. And you know how I like to start. I like to start with the positives. Usually a positive guy, but in the sports world, as you know, I have a tendency to get a little fired up here. a basketball-heavy one, which probably will be a theme going forward now that football is ending. But Likey goes out to LeGod James out here tagging Kyrie Irving on his Instagram story, knowing full well the ruckus it caused. That's the kind of petty I love seeing, and the kind of behavior I love, because he knew the type of reaction it would cause and did it anyway.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
And his permission to join Team Petty is absolutely granted. He'd be one of the few I'd give up my team captain role for, is LeGod James. Petty alert granted. And as for a bonus toasty take, I'm not the only one suggesting this, but the Lakers are going to end up with LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Kyrie Irving. You just wait and see. My next likey goes to Carmelo Anthony attending Dwayne Wade's last game at Madison Square Garden. Anthony was shown on the big screen at MSG and got a standing ovation from the crowd. Pretty cool to see, especially after the tough year Anthony's had, for him to get due respect. And he was very forthright and said it was tough for him to be at basketball games while he's sitting at home. Hopefully he gets a chance somewhere, and I'm thinking that might just be the Lakers if they trade away a lot of young pieces to acquire Anthony Davis. That'll free up those roster spots to then sign LeBron's friend, Carmelo. My no likey is a little bit different. Something the number one podcast listeners might not know is I'm a person obsessed with branding, fonts, all that sort of stuff. In the sports world, add jerseys to that. You name it, I love all that stuff. A no likey goes to there no longer being creative Super Bowl logos. So since Super Bowl 45, it's been this generic, basically template the NFL's been following for these Super Bowl logos. I want them to go back to location-specific logos and ones that were different each year. I think they help identify different Super Bowls and take you to a place where you remember that logo, you remember that jersey patch, takes you back to what happened in that game. I don't like the lack of creativity. There's some things I like being uniform and clean, but a Super Bowl patch and logo is not one of them. So I would love to see the NFL bring those back and ditch these generic logos that all look the same minus the actual Roman numeral. And I didn't even want to talk about this, but my hate it goes to that just fucking incredible Cowboys coaching staff mustering up a whopping 7 fucking points in the Pro Bowl against flag football defenses. Good for fucking you. You have all the talent in the world on the NFC offensive roster. Think about the fact that their running backfield included Ezekiel Elliott, Saquon Barkley, and Alvin Kamara. They wound up with very few yards and only 7 points. Yes, I know it was raining, but is anybody really trying on defense to be shut out that bad? Hate it. Just when I think I'm over it, they still find ways to disappoint me. Hate it to the Cowboys. Please don't make any waves in the offseason other than this stupid shit. Okay, let's move on to You Played Yourself. Things in the sports world that probably shouldn't have happened. Things you might not expect it to happen, but that deserve calling out. The first one was brought to us by Sam Amico. He's at Amico Hoops on Twitter. He tweeted the following. NBA ratings down a whopping 22% on TNT per The Big Lead. Also down on ESPN and local broadcast numbers, pretty bad in most cities. Yet, website numbers up. So do you like reading about the league more than watching? Listen, you played yourself, NBA. This is not directed at Sam Miko. He just provided the statistics, so thank you to him. You played yourself, NBA. You allowed a team full of snakes to assemble in Oakland. And then your best player in the entire world went from Eastern Standard Time games to Pacific Standard Time games in LA and failed to realize that all sports viewers come from the East Coast, more specifically the Midwest. Congratulations, you fucking played yourself, NBA. So no, I don't think it's a general shift towards reading. It's a general shift towards people's bedtimes. It's a general shift towards people being in their REM cycle of sleep. You played yourself, the NBA. Okay. Next, you played yourself. Goes to the NFL. Yes, I'm still not over it, so I can't imagine New Orleans. But the NFL allowed 4 game officials who live in Southern California to work the game between the Los Angeles Rams and the New Orleans Saints. We already know what happened in that game. But those same 4 officials, with long ties to Southern California, were the ones most responsible for the non-call on Rams cornerback Nickel Roby-Coleman's early helmet-to-helmet hit on Saints wide receiver Tommy Lee Lewis that was widely viewed as a pass interference. Does that surprise anyone? And this is coming from the furthest thing from a conspiracy theorist, but this is just a fucking awful look. The Saints and other officials not involved in the game do not believe that the officials' geographical ties influenced their non-call. And it's worth noting, officiating assignments are communicated at clubs on Monday. There were no complaints from either the Rams or Saints. But, like I said, this league is trying to claim it has integrity. And then they allow this to happen. 4 officials with Southern California roots, and yes, we all know, most of the fans there, sorry to say, but they're not exactly deeply involved in football there, considering they just got teams back, and one of the teams, the Chargers, couldn't have a home field advantage to save their life. But these people with SoCal roots wound up officiating a conference championship game that involved an LA team, and worse, a controversial call. How does this happen by the NFL? You played yourself repeatedly and repeatedly. And while we're at it, here's another you played yourself. And this one's a repeat offender. Roger Goodell is only, if you're keeping track, he's the only second repeat offender to be on consecutive weeks. The previous was Tom Brady. Roger Goodell still hasn't opened his mouth about the Saints-Rams controversial ending. How? You're not allowing this to be put to bed because you won't open your fat mouth, your overpaid mouth, to even speak on a game that has a big old fat asterisk on it. Shout out to the New Orleans Saints tight end Benjamin Watson, who released a statement directed at Commissioner Goodell. He said, this is an excerpt, quote, "Your continued silence on this matter is unbecoming of the position you hold, detrimental to the integrity of the game, and disrespectful and dismissive to football fans everywhere." He continues with, "Accountability is what makes our league great. Lead by example. We are waiting." End quote. Couldn't have said it better myself. You played yourself, Commissioner Goodell. While we're at it, you played yourself goes to the viewers watching the Pro Bowl. How do 8 fucking million of you watch that over other TV? Can I interest you in literally anything else? I honestly can't believe you watched that slop fest in Orlando featuring an NFC offense that was just atrocious. Someone will have to tell me what they see in that game. Is it that we're that desperate for football? I'd rather watch a highlight of a game or some past seasons or throwing a Remember the Titans, for crying out loud. What are we doing watching the NFL Pro Bowl? You got double the viewers of a primetime NBA game featuring the Celtics and Warriors. That's not a good look for the NBA. That's surprisingly good for the NFL. All right, it's time for who you got and what you feeling. Of course, got to recap last week's picks, where I did not pick the Super Bowl. That'll be for this week. Last week I talked about Zion Williamson and what bottom team needed him the most. I was picking between the Chicago Bulls and the Cleveland Cavs. I went with the Cleveland Cavs because the Bulls have a better infusion of young talent. Sure, that is absolutely biased, being an Ohio man myself, but too bad.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
And the other thing I discussed was Carmelo Anthony, where he would end up. Of course, he was traded to the Bulls and is technically still a member of the Bulls. It is widely thought that the Bulls will either buy Anthony out or then flip him again before the trade deadline or right at it. So my answer to that was the Lakers. Of course, I outlined it earlier because of the Anthony Davis trade. But I'm even more solidified in my feeling that he ends up with the Lakers because in order to get Anthony Davis, the Lakers will have to have traded quite a haul of players. So there should be a spot that opens up for Carmelo Anthony to join his friend LeGod James. We will stay tuned for that one. Okay, time for this week's picks. As promised, Super Bowl 53. Got to make picks for that. Rams versus Patriots. Currently, the line is set at Patriots favored by 2.5 points. Here's my little quick analysis. We all know the Patriots are pros at taking away the best option, but it's important to note that the Rams have multiple options at each skill position. You're looking at 2 running backs now with Todd Gurley and C.J. Anderson. Most likely a healthier Todd Gurley, if not fully healthy. At receiver, the Rams have Robert Woods and Brandon Cooks. So they have multiples of each thing. So it will be a tough challenge for the Patriots. This is, of course, the battle of young versus old. I thought it was interesting to note the age gap between Bill Belichick and Sean McVay is 33 years and 283 days. And the age gap between starting quarterbacks Tom Brady and Jared Goff is 17 years and 72 days. That both of those are the largest in Super Bowl history of age gaps between opposing coaches and quarterbacks. Like I said, I'm firmly on Team Snacks here, but if forced to make a pick, I will go with the New England Tom Bradyets. This is a lose-lose for most of us. If the Rams win, they have an asterisk in my book. This is the Saints spot it should be in the NFC. And if the Patriots win, I mean, who isn't tired of this shit? Yes, all these logical people will tell me if someone's good or if a team's good, beat them. I get all that. But just be a fan for a fucking second. Nobody likes the Patriots. If you do, you're a Patriots fan. Who gives a fuck about them? It's okay to irrationally hate on teams, guys. Newsflash. It doesn't fucking matter. Yes, everybody knows Tom Brady. Look at me, I'm even saying Tom Brady. Everybody knows Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. Even Joe Montana fans are probably admitting it by now. We get all that. Everybody knows Bill Belichick's probably the best NFL coach of all time. We get all that. Be irrational with me, guys. You don't have to enjoy them. You don't have to enjoy those fucking snakes out in Oakland just because they have a good team. If you're tired of them, you're tired of them. Be petty. Join me, won't you? It's fun. It's way more fun.
Petty alert, petty alert, petty alert.
Anyway. Yeah, New England Tom Brady, I'm going with them. Could see it going either way. Obviously, that's the reason they're in the Super Bowl. But I'm going with it. And I thought it'd be fun to appeal to you degenerates out there. The Super Bowl prop bets is one of the biggest betting days of the year. It is estimated that $6 billion will be bet on the Super Bowl because of things like prop bets. And I wanted you to get my unqualified takes on if I was a degenerate like you folks, and I say that so lovingly, if I was not a wuss to gamble my money, these would be my picks for Super Bowl prop bets. So, first up is the national anthem length. The over-under is set at 1 minute and 50 seconds. And the singer is Gladys Knight. I'm going over. The Empress of Soul, you gotta go over here. She better do it up. It's worth noting there aren't too many people that have gone over the 2-minute mark. I think there's like 3 in history, but go with the over. If it's set at 2 minutes, I'd still go with the over. I think she's going to clear it. The next one I thought was kind of fun. Who the TV coverage would show first between Bill Belichick or Sean McVay. This is very close betting lines, but they have Belichick at -130 and McVay at -110. I'll go with Belichick. Just a hunch that they're going to go with experience and then show youth, but that one really is a toss-up. This one's probably my most favorite one is, will Andre 3000 join Big Boy on stage? Of course, Big Boy is joining Maroon 5 and Travis Scott, the pairing everybody thought would happen. But Big Boy is joining those two artists on stage, and the betting line is set at plus 300 for yes to Andre 3000 joining Big Boy and minus 500 to no. I'm going with yes, mostly because I want it to happen. This is the kind of betting knowledge you are getting out of me. Of course, one that's there every year, what color the liquid would be that'll get poured on the winning coach. Clear is set at plus 250, yellow is set at plus 300, red at plus 600, blue at plus 400, purple at plus 900, green at plus 700, and orange at plus 400. Orange, I don't know. This one's tough. I don't think I'd even bet on this one. But I'll go with orange. It's the most classic Gatorade color. Last but not least, the ones I picked. Gisele Bündchen, Tom Brady's wife. How many times she'll be shown on the live broadcast? The over-under is set at 1.5 times. And like some runny-ass eggs, over easy. Hammer the over. They're showing Gisele, unless she hides from the cameras. Runny ass eggs, remember that, over easy. As for what I'm feeling, definitely one of the top food days of the year is coming up, and that is the Super Bowl. I already said I'm team snacks. I feel like a lot of the country's team snacks. I know New Orleans is team snacks. Definitely a top food day of the year. This and Thanksgiving go hand in hand. Big fan. Lots of great memories with good food spreads for the Super Bowl. So that's what I'm feeling. I will be firmly planted near the snack table. And of course, like always, got to end with my too much sense. My advice for the week. And this week is about serving as messenger, the bearer of bad news at times. It sucks to be the bad guy or serve as messenger, but what we need to realize is that people will always be able to trust you to give it to them straight, and someone has to do it, so it might as well be you. It might as well be you being the accountable one and the one that puts a face to the words. At least people will be able to say you're being honest to them, and history looks more favorable upon the person who's honest versus the people that hide from it. You might as well deal with the initial reaction and handle it from there. That's always been my philosophy. It doesn't always work out great initially, but people appreciate it nonetheless. So, it's tough to be in that situation. Remember, if you're one of those people getting mad at the messenger, don't shoot them. Just know they're delivering the message a lot of times because they have to. And that'll do it for another edition of Prem Brulee. As always, appreciate you, number one podcast listeners. Don't ever get it twisted. This is the number one podcast in your headphones. Please continue to rate, review, provide feedback. Love to add in things that you like, remove things you didn't like, maybe suggestions of what you want to see going forward. Appreciate any and all feedback. Please subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Then tell that friend's friend to subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. And we'll be back next week for another edition where we recap the Super Bowl and anything else that goes on in the sports world.